At the beginning of the drama, we see the male lead, Xu Ye, who is on his way to the office. Just then, his assistant comes and says, "We have found your wife." On the other hand, we see the female lead, Shixi, who runs a small stall. Just then, a luxury car comes and stops there. As soon as she sees the car, Zixi gets shocked and starts running away with her bike. But just then, a helicopter lands in front of her, and Shiye comes out of it. He says to Zixi, "Come on, Zixi, I will take you home." Just then, Shiye's wife, Zixi, says, "I want to make a career by running my stall." Then Shiye says, "Your career can wait. Over there, my grandma has fallen sick. Also, my brother Jingshin is returning from abroad, and he doesn't know anything about the business, so only you can handle my business." Zixi agrees to Shiye's words. While going to Gu Company, Zixi bumps into her college batchmate Suining, and coffee spills on her. So Zixi gives her scarf to her. Then both go to Gu Company, and the employees there assume Suining is Shi's real wife because she had the expensive scarf, which she had actually exchanged with Zixi on the way. The company's supervisor, Qin Wei, removes Zixi and goes to Suining, greeting her thinking she is the CEO's wife. And there, Wei assumes Zixi is the company's cleaner and says, "Go, clean everything." When Zixi is about to go home after cleaning everything, Suining secretly puts her ring into Zixi's bag and frames her as a thief. Just then, Wei says to Suining, "This ring is the same expensive ring that Xia gave you, right?" Then Zixi says, "This ring is fake, and I know where the real one is." After that, all the employees go to Xia's office door, and in the end, only Zixi is able to unlock the office door. Then Jingxin arrives there, and from the employee's words, he finds out that Xia's wife is Suining. Suining shows Zixi as poor and low. So, Jingxin feels that Suining is very mean and bullies others, so he doesn't like Suining. In the next scene, Suining has to give a speech on behalf of the company, for which she goes to the Dior shop with the other employees to try on a designer dress. There, the dress given to Suining doesn't fit her, so Zixi says if she were the real wife of the CEO, then this dress would have fit her, because this dress was made according to the CEO's wife's measurements. Just then, the manager says to her, "You will have to pay for this dress yourself," but her card also doesn't work. So Dior's designer throws Suining and all the other employees out of the shop. Meanwhile, Zixi buys the speech day dress with her black payment card, and when the Dior designer sees the Gu family's black card with her, she realizes that Zixi is the real wife of the CEO. When Zixi and the designer are leaving while talking, Suining says to the other employees, "Surely Zixi must have seduced the designer, that's why my card was not working." On the speech day, Wei gives seafood to Suining to eat. After eating it, Suining says, "I am allergic to seafood," and pretends to fall sick, because the speech is in English and she doesn't know how to read English. So Wei says, "This seafood was given by Zixi." Wei says, even after knowing that Suining is allergic to seafood, Zixi gave her seafood. So now, today's speech will have to be given by Zixi, where Suining thinks because of not giving a good speech, Zixi will be thrown out of the company. There, Zixi arrives to give the speech wearing the Dior designer dress made for her. On top of that, she gives a good speech, for which Jingshin congratulates her. Seeing this, Suining thinks maybe Jingshin helped her in giving the speech. Angrily, Suining leaves from there, and just then Wei comes there and says to Suining, "Some luxury cars from Gu Corporation have arrived, so if you take us to the Gu family's racetrack tomorrow." The next day, when Suining and everyone else arrive at the racetrack's mechanic quietly says to Suining, "We shouldn't choose these luxury cars because if we damage any of them, we won't be able to pay for it." Suining ignores this and goes to uncover a luxury car. Just then, Zixi arrives and says, if Suining is the real owner of this car, then she would know that this car is freshly painted, so it cannot be uncovered right now. Even then, Suining forcefully uncovers the car, and the car's paint starts getting damaged. Just then, Zhou Yu says, "Madam, maybe the paint on your car is still wet." So Suining immediately replies, "This is just a gradient color." She also asks the mechanic, "This car's paint is gradient, right?" The mechanic agrees with her. All the employees believe what Suining says is true. When Yu goes to say something again about the paint, Suining ignores her and says, "Come, I will take you all for a car ride." When Suining goes to open the car, Zixi says, "This car has a voice control system." Then, Suining gives the command to open the car doors, but they don't open. Just then, Xia asks Suining, "Is the voice control system of this car broken?" So Suining immediately says, "Yes, the voice control system is broken." Zixi says, "I am the real owner of this car and this racetrack." Just then, Zixi gives a voice command to the car, and the car unlocks. A voice comes from the car, "Young Miss has arrived." The employees present there are very surprised by this. Then Suining shouts and asks the mechanic, "You tell them I am the real owner of the car and this racetrack, right?" The mechanic agrees with Suining. Then Zixi shouts and asks the mechanic, "Why are you lying?" Then the mechanic gets down on his knees and starts saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Just then, Jingshen comes and says, as always, Xuening is bullying everyone. He says to Xuening, looks like you have already received the gift my brother gave. Jingshen thinks to himself, my brother has chosen a bad wife and is even forcing me to deliver gifts to her. Xuening and the employees staying with her leave the racetrack. On the other side, Shixi says to Jingshen, you must have some work so you can go now. But Jingshen says, if you're free, I would like to take you on a joyride. Shixi hesitates and says, I hate joyrides the most, and I even left my house door unlocked, so I have to return home now. On the other side, the employees staying with Xuening ask her, why does Jingshen behave so badly with you? So Xuening says, Jingshen and Shixi are having an affair. That's why Jingshen behaves like that with me. When Zixi leaves the racetrack's mechanic runs to her and requests, please don't fire me. I lied in front of everyone that my daughter Xuening is the owner of the racetrack. Zixi says, I will not fire you if you don't reveal my identity to Xuening. The mechanic agrees to this. Then Jingshen calls his grandma and says, my sister-in-law is a gold digger. Hearing this, his grandma says, I will tell Shiye to get a divorce. After this, Jingshen goes to the hospital to see his grandma, where he sees that Shiye is already sitting. Shiye asks Jingshen, did you tell grandma that my wife is a gold digger? Jingshen nervously says, I just said it casually. Maybe I didn't understand her properly. Then Shiye says, Grandma, don't worry. Shixi is a good girl. You can meet her once at the upcoming Gu group auction. Coming out of the hospital room, Shiye asks Jingshen, why did you say such a thing about my wife to grandma? Jingshen says, what kind of love spell has that girl cast on you, that you're not even listening to grandma? At this point, Shiye angrily says, mind your own work. Jingshen replies, but I helped you today. Shiye asks, so what do you want? Jingshen says, there is an employee in your office I like and she rejected me, so help me with that. Shiye says, I will not help. Meanwhile, everyone is sitting in the office and Zhou Yu says, aren't we doing too much? Shiye says, we have to treat bad people badly. She says to Shixi, how dirty you are, and throws water on her. Then she says to Shixi, even after being married, you have affairs with other men. Then Xuening says, I told everyone that you are having an affair with Jingshen. Shixi replies, because you spread rumors, I'll wash your mouth. And then Zixi dunks Xuening's face into the water. At that moment, Jingshen enters, and Xuening says to him, I was telling Zixi to stay away from you. Jingshen says, think about yourself because grandma doesn't like you and she'll meet you at the auction. In the next scene, Xuening arrives at the auction with her colleagues. Seeing Shixi there, Xuening asks, which rich man did you hook up with to come to this rich people's auction? Zixi replies, the CEO of Gu Corporation requested me to come here. Xuening laughs and says, now you'll say he loves you too. Jingshen then enters and says, it's true, I love her. Zixi softly tells Jingshen, maybe you misunderstood something. The auction then begins, and a precious bracelet is auctioned, reaching the price of 10 million. Qin Wei says to Xuening, this would suit you a lot, to which Xuening replies, just 10 million is not even worth my attention. Zixi says, or is it that you can't afford it? So you're saying that? To this, Xuening says, I will surely take the next item. And then a queen, crown worth 100 million is presented. One after another, people in the audience start bidding more than 100 million for the crown. Then Zixi also bids for it. Shiye's secretary, upon seeing this, calls Shiye and tells him everything. Shiye tells the secretary, buy the crown for Zixi. When the secretary bids the highest and wins, Xuening's colleagues say to her, this is Shiye's secretary, and surely Shiye is buying it for you. After this, the colleagues go out for a while, and then Shiye arrives. In conversation, Jingshen says to him, the one I like is Shixi, and I want to give her this crown. So will you give it to me? Hearing this, Shiye is shocked and says, I won't give it. Shiye goes and puts the crown onto Zixi, and seeing this, Xuening asks him, why did you put the crown on Zixi? Shiye replies, she has always been my wife. Hearing this, all the employees in Jingshen come to know that Zixi is his real wife. Just then, Shiye's grandma arrives and says to him, don't marry an orphan like Zixi. Then Xuening picks up a pendant from the ground belonging to the rich Su family. Later, when Shiye's grandma sees that pendant in Xuening's hand, she thinks, surely this girl is the daughter of the rich Su Mingrui. And she tells Shiye, you should marry a girl like Xuening because she belongs to a good family. At that moment, Zixi says, this pendant is mine. Shiye's grandma, not believing her, cancels their engagement. She invites Xuening to dinner at home, to which Shiye angrily says, if this really happens, then I will never return to that house. Then his grandma says, if you don't listen to me, I'll remove you from the Gu family registry. Just then, Ming Rui enters and says, Zixi is my biological child, and she gives a diary to Zixi. Seeing a card in the diary, Zixi says, I used to give such cards to my mom in childhood, so are you my mom? Ming Rui says, I searched for you a lot. Come to mom. Zixi shouts, you're lying. You left my dad. You left me too. Ming Rui says, while crying, Your mom had no choice. At that time, the Su family didn't accept the marriage between me and your dad. We ran away. After some time, your grandma fell ill and gave a threat that she would die. Then when I left, they hid you and your dad somewhere. At that moment, Shiye's grandma says to Ming Rui, Suining has the jade pendant, so she is your real daughter. Ming Rui thinks, my investigations show that Xi is my real daughter. Still, she says to Xuening, if this is your pendant, then you must know that this pendant recognizes the blood of the Su family. After that, she cuts Xuening's hand. Her blood falls on the pendant, but there is no reaction from the pendant. Then Xi cuts her own hand. Her blood falls on the pendant, and a light reflects from the pendant. This way, everyone comes to know that Xi is Ming Rui's real daughter. After that, Ming Rui throws Xuening out because she was lying to everyone about her identity. Ming Rui says to Xi, in the upcoming Su family get-together, I will announce you as my daughter. At that moment, Shiya's grandma says to Xi, if you go to that get-together, only then I will accept you. On the other side, outside, Xuening meets her colleagues, and Zhou Yu asks her, where is your crown, madam? On this, the other employees say, such a valuable crown cannot be handled casually, so surely it has already been delivered to madam. In her mind, Zhou Yu thinks, maybe once I saw Xi wearing this crown. Next day in the office, Qin Wei says, a project must be made for the company for which I think madam is the most fit. On this, Xi says, thank you. Then Qin Wei says, how long will you pretend that you are the CEO's wife? Xi is about to speak that day at the auction. At that moment, Zuining interrupts her and says, at the auction, the CEO made me wear the crown. So are you jealous? Xi says, your nerve is very strong, because even after being exposed in front of everyone, you are speaking like this? At that moment, Zhou Yu says to Xi, don't argue with madam, she has a lot of experience. Then the other employees decide that Xi and Xuening both will be given a chance. Whoever loses will have to leave the company. In the next scene, Xi finishes writing her project script on the laptop and leaves. At that moment, Xuening secretly copies that script from Xi's laptop to her pen drive and deletes the script from Xi's laptop. Next day, Xi comes and opens her laptop, but she doesn't find the script. She says loudly, where did my script go? On this, her colleagues scold her. You don't know how to write, so you're pretending that the script is lost. Zhou Yu says with concern, did you maybe save the script in some other folder and forget? To which Xi says, I always save my files on the desktop, but it's okay, I can shoot even without the script. Next day, Xuening shows her maid advertisement to everyone, and her colleagues praise her. But Zhou Yu says, the starting is great, but the ending became a little rushed. After that, Xi shows her advertisement, whose starting is similar to Xuening's advertisement. At that moment, she pauses the video and says, till here, Xuening has stolen my work. Then, Xi plays the video again, and at the end of the video, her logo appears. Seeing that, the two guests present there say, this is the best video. And they also say, last time, the winner of the Cannes Festival had a similar logo. So maybe Xi is that winner. Hearing this, Xi's colleagues say, she is just a small-time intern, so she can't be that winner. Then Xuye arrives there, and Qin Wei says, your wife has made a good video, and shows Xuye the video made by Xuening. Xuye doesn't like the video, so Qin Wei, showing it to Xuening, says, your wife stayed up all night making the video. Xuye says, I have only one wife, and that's Xi. Xi tells her colleagues, employees like you should not stay in Gu Corporation. And then Xi and Xuye fire Xuening and her colleagues. But Xi does not fire Zhou Yu, as she had behaved well with Xi. In the next scene, Xi and Xuye stay in one room, and Xi tells Xuye, I won't go to the Su family reunion. At that moment, Jingshan arrives and says, Grandma's health has gotten very bad. Everyone goes to Grandma, and then she speaks to Xi. If you don't go to the Su family reunion, and don't become part of that rich family, I won't be able to die peacefully. On the other side, Xi's mom adopting Xi like this doesn't sit well with her dad and her dad's adopted granddaughter, Suyan. In the next scene, Xi arrives at the Su family reunion. Her mom becomes happy and announces, Xi is my daughter and the only heir to my property. Xi is surprised by this, and Ming Rui says, you are my biological daughter, so everything of mine will go to you. Meanwhile, Suyan makes a call and says, young Master Zhou, would you like to do something exciting today? A little later, Zhou Nan arrives at the reunion, and Suyan tells him, you always wanted to play with high-class women. That's Xi, the real heir of the rich family. If you add this drug to her drink, she won't be conscious. Zhou Nan does it, but Xi sees everything. Then Xi secretly switches her glass with Zhou Nan's glass. Zhou Nan drinks it and loses consciousness, so Xi takes him to the guest room. Su-yan complains to Xi's mom, Xi has gone to the guest room with a man. Everyone goes outside the guest room to knock on the door. Xi's mom pushes open the door, and everyone sees Zhou Nan lying unconscious on the bed. At that moment, Xi arrives, and Zhou Nan, in his drunken state, says, Thank you, Suyan. The drug you gave, it's very good. Everyone realizes that it was Suyan who did all this. Sixi's mom, angry with Suyan, says, "You need to leave." At that moment, Suyan's grandfather interrupts and arrives, and Sixi's mom says to him, "Suyan is with you only for your property." Suyan's grandfather says, "Whatever happens, I will give the property to Suyan, and Suyan will not leave from here." Sixi's mom says, "Then I will leave," to which the grandfather says, "When you leave, make sure you give up your share." Sixi's mom says, 98% of the shares of the Su family are mine, so pay me 100 billion and you can buy it from me. On this, Suyan's grandfather is shocked. Sixi's mom comes out and tells Zixi, "I will hand over the responsibility of Su Corporation to you." Then Zixi says, "First, I will do an internship at Su Company. Then I can take that responsibility." Meanwhile, Shuya's grandma becomes happy seeing Zixi coming in the Su family car. She thinks Zixi must have surely become part of the rich Su family. In her happiness, Grandma takes Zixi to give her ginger tea. After giving Zixi the tea, Grandma and Jingshin leave. Seeing Grandma's behavior, Zixi says, "I know, Grandma is doing all this for society, but I will stay careful." The next day, Zixi goes to Su Company, and everyone ignores her. An employee comes and, pushing her, says, "Do you think you will take Su Yan's position? There can only be one madam here, and that's Su Yan." And with that, she also calls Zixi illegitimate. Then, Su Yan arrives and tells Zixi, "You know my grandfather will hand over Su Corporation to me." At that moment, Zixi says, "Law doesn't give adopted children the right to property." A little later, the company manager, Wu, arrives and tells Zixi, "There's an exhibition tomorrow. Help everyone out." A little later, Manager Wu comes and asks Zixi, "The exhibition is tomorrow, so will you be able to take care of all the paintings?" Zixi says, "No problem." Meanwhile, Su Yan tells her colleagues, "I have an idea that can get Zixi out of the company." Her colleagues ask, "How?" Then she tells them, "Do you all remember that Manager Wu asked Zixi to take care of the paintings?" Later, on her way home, Su Yan tells her colleagues, "Don't forget to bring the ink tomorrow." The next day, Zixi is sleeping on the office table. At that moment, Su Yan and her colleagues wake her up and say, "The manager is calling you, hurry up." Zixi leaves, and Su Yan and her colleagues add ink to the paintings. Zixi doesn't find anyone in the manager's room, so she comes back, and here she sees Manager Wu. Wu, angry, says to Zixi, "I told you to manage the paintings, but all the paintings are ruined." Then he says, "I don't know how you will fix it, but all the paintings must be fixed by 8:30 p.m. or you won't be able to stay in the company." In the next scene, after everyone leaves, Zixi starts fixing the paintings. Then she gets a call from Xu Ye, and he asks Zixi, "Why haven't you come back yet?" Zixi says, "There are a lot of paintings here that I need to work on." Xu Ye says, "I will send someone to help you." After this, Xu Ye brings some people to the office to help Zixi. During the exhibition, Su Yan and her colleagues discuss Zixi won't be able to come here because she will be busy fixing the paintings. Then, Zixi arrives with the perfect paintings and makes everyone happy. Seeing this, her manager Wu tells her, "I will talk to HR and get you a promotion." Su Yan, angry, comes home and tells her grandpa, "Zixi bullied me." Then her grandpa says, "I will contact HR and get her fired." The next day, HR comes to Zixi at the office and gives her a letter. She says, "Sign this, and you can leave." Zixi says, "You can't fire me without a reason." Then HR says, "I don't need reasons to fire an intern like you." At that moment, Zixi's mom arrives and sees everything. She angrily says, "An HR like this doesn't deserve to stay in the company." After this, she fires HR. Su Yan's grandfather, angry, asks Zixi's mom, "HR was my staff. Why did you fire her?" Then Zixi's mom says, "If she was your staff, firing her was even more necessary." With this, Zixi's mom sends her dad to the nursing home. On the other side, Su Yan meets Zhui Ning and says, "You will have to do a task for me. In return, I will give you a lot of money and a good job." In the next scene, Zhui Ning falls at Zixi's feet and says, "Shu Ye has banned me. That's why I couldn't get a good job. Please forgive me." In the next scene, Shu Ye tells his staff, "Without any ceremony, I married Zixi. I want to organize a wedding ceremony." After this, Zixi meets Shu Ye, and he tells her, "If you're free this Saturday, let's have dinner together." At that moment, Zixi asks Shu Ye to lift the ban on Zhui Ning. In the next scene, Zixi is having dinner, and then Shu Ye proposes to her and says, "Now that Grandma has accepted you, will you marry me again?" On hearing this, Zixi says yes to Shu Ye. Meanwhile, Yuan Ning finds out about the proposal, and in anger, she calls Su Yan. She tells Su Yan everything and asks, "What should we do now?" Su Yan says, "To do something bad to Zixi. This wedding is a good opportunity." In the next scene, Zixi is seen in a wedding dress. Shu Ye and Zixi participate in the wedding rituals. They accept each other as husband and wife. Then Xuening arrives and says, Xixi, you took everything that could have been mine. With this, she goes to throw sulfuric acid on Xixi, when suddenly Jingxin steps in and saves Xixi. Again, when Zhui Ning tries to attack Xixi, Xu Ye stops her. At that moment, an invitation card falls from Xue Ning's hand, which was actually meant to invite Su Yan to the wedding. Everyone realizes that Su Yan is behind all of this. Then, Xu Ye tells his staff, this woman has attempted to murder, call the police and have her arrested. Meanwhile, Jingxin falls unconscious, because earlier when the sulfuric acid fell, he got injured on his leg. Xu Ye quickly orders to call an ambulance. On the other side, Xu Ye and Xixi arrive at the hospital and ask about Jingxin's condition. Then, Xixi's mom arrives and asks, Xixi, are you okay? I heard you were injured? Xixi says, Jingxin saved me. Then, Xixi's mom tells Xixi about Su Yan's arrest. On the other side, Su Yan's grandfather is watching the news, where the news of Su Yan's arrest is being broadcasted. Seeing this, he starts shouting, and with this, the drama comes to a happy ending.